MJF does nothing for me. Anyone that says he's a great heel is fucking delusional and just wants to be accepted in this new age of pro wrestling fans. I hope Moxley beats him in 10 seconds. If he doesn't and they let this match go 15 minutes and MJF, who sucks at wrestling, and Moxley's going to have to carry him through this whole match, and it's just going to be bad.
Charlotte Flair does not have to be involved in the first of everything or the major angle of everything involving the women in your company. Now you expect me to believe that she's going to win the Royal Rumble and go down to NXT and help make Rhea Ripley a star? She's probably going to end up beating Rhea Ripley and going down to NXT and, I don't want to say ruin a perfectly good women's division, but kind of hold things up down there. She was forced into the main event of last year's WrestleMania. She's involved in the first of everything when it comes to the women. Give it a rest for a little bit.
And sure enough, Goldberg wins the Universal title. And I'm like, I can't believe they actually did this stupid mistake again. We don't need a 53-year-old man with a barbed wire tattoo who was relevant about 20-something years ago in a title match at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. I'm getting tired of part-timers walking into WrestleMania with the title. The Rock a couple years ago. Lesnar seems to be doing it every year where he walks in with the title and drops it. Why can't we have two full-time guys wrestle for the fucking title? I mean, how hard is that?
Welcome to another edition of the Hot Tag Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Justin C. Joined this week by my co-host, the chairman, Steve and Vincent. Cam unable to join us this week. We are here to catch up on AEW. It's been a few weeks since we kind of took a deep dive, quote-unquote, into AEW, so we're going to catch up on what's going on there. Pretty good episode of Dynamite this past Wednesday night. We got a big Rampage coming up. By the time you listen to this, it'll probably be Friday, so tonight with Hangman Page and Adam Cole in a Texas death match. And we'll take the second half of the show and talk about Brock Lesnar. This year was 10 years since the re-debut of Brock Lesnar in the WWE, and kind of look back and talk about some of our favorite matches of his, least favorite matches, if there's anything left, and just kind of the Brock Lesnar experience overall in the last 10 years he's been here in WWE. So let's start with AEW. Let's start right off the bat talking about the Texas death match taking place, like I said, by the time you listen to this, tonight, Friday night, between Hangman Adam Page defending the title, AEW World title, against Adam Cole. I was kind of hoping that this might be the whole 1 hour Rampage. I know they announced other matches for Rampage, so I'm guessing it's probably not, but it would be cool if they just kind of kept going with it and be like, okay, well, this match keeps going. Unfortunately, we had to cut X match and Y match. But I don't know, it seems like I feel like still with Adam Page, it's kind of, he's almost secondary, not really secondary, but he's not a major focus of the AEW picture right now. I mean, last night on Dynamite, just kind of did a video package for it, and even since his match with Adam Cole at Revolution, it's kind of been the same thing, where it's like, he's the champion, but he's not the main focus of the show. And, but the thing is, every time he gets out there and has a match, he has a pretty good match. There are times, and the times that he's on AEW TV, he shows the flashes of why they made him world champion. But it seems like his story is almost secondary to a lot of other stuff going on now in AEW. So we get Adam Cole having his rematch this Friday night. Chairman, who wins?
I feel like Hangman Page is going to win here. I agree with you. I feel like this feud is not getting the proper build. Other than a video package last night, you're telling me when you have a major world championship match coming up in a couple days here that there's not going to be a in-ring segment or something to get people invested, hyped up. It's I think they're spending more time right now on the Wardlow MJF story. They're spending more time on the Jericho Appreciation Society, Eddie Kingston, Santino Ortiz stuff. They're spending more time on Wheeler fucking Yuta than Hangman Page right now. And I have a big problem with that. Hangman Page doesn't feel like a world champion right now to me. The chase as a babyface was fine. I mean, obviously that's kind of how it goes. But now it's ever since he's won the title, months back, he's almost like an afterthought. He's like a secondary commodity. That's probably why I forgot about his matches with Bryan Danielson a while back when we recorded, because his reign doesn't really have much memorable things to it. It's just the Adam Cole stuff's almost forgettable, unfortunately. And Adam Cole's a star, so is Hangman Page, but they're not being treated as such to an extent. It's like I said, there's other feuds that I feel are getting more stuff than this. And I mean, it's like CM Punk's probably waiting at Double or Nothing. He made the teeth to the Hangman. I mean, I love Adam Cole, but I don't see any scenario where he comes out the champion here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel the same way. It's like you said, even Adam Cole's booking has been a little bit suspect since coming over. Almost all of, him and Redragon, as we saw last night with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus retaining the AEW Tag Team Championships after beating Redragon again, or Red Dragon, however you say it. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I said, I just don't see. I'm with you. I think it's, we've talked about it already. I think it's Page and Punk again not again, but I'm sorry, Page versus Punk at Double or Nothing. There's really nobody else ready to step up. I mean, Punk got his win last night against Penta Oscuro, however you say that, excuse me. My poor boy Penta can't catch a win between him, Liv Morgan, and Butcher and the Blade. Some of my sentimental favorites. They just, none of them can seem to catch a big win at all on TV, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, I'd be stunned if Adam Cole won. I mean, if Redragon would have won the tag titles last night, I would have maybe been more inclined to say, well, I think there might be a shot that Adam Cole is pulling this off. But with their loss last night, I just don't think that's going to happen. And speaking of tag team champions that seem like they're not a spot. It almost seems like it's I don't want to say necessarily a curse of AEW, but I last night we said at Revolution. It was Revolution of Full Gear. Revolution was the last one. We said that, we all picked Redragon, I think, to win that triple threat tag match, and then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus retained. And then we said, okay, now make them actually seem like a big deal as tag team champions. And they didn't. So then last night, going into their matchup again with Redragon, I was like, okay, O'Reilly and Fish are totally winning here. And then they retained again. And then even afterwards, when FTR came out, that between FTR, O'Reilly and Fish, and then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, the champs seemed like third fiddle at that point. And it seems like if you look at the AEW tag team division, like, I think they're below in the pecking order. You look at, it's like Young Bucks, Fish and O'Reilly, FTR. I would probably argue the Hardy Boys are probably ahead of them right now as far as a tag team. As far as giving prominence to the tag team, I should say, you could probably make an argument, even though they've beaten them twice, that the Acclaimed is getting more of a kind of notoriety as a tag team. And you can make an argument that Moxley and Danielson are getting more notoriety as a tag team than Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And the weird thing is, the crowd loves Luchasaurus. Anytime he's in that ring, the crowd loves it. So you would think these guys, it's one thing, they can go out there and they can, have a good match and retain the tag titles, but it's also, again, making them a focal point of the show, which we just talked about with Hangman Page, which they weren't really doing. And you kind of want to do that with your tag champs too, but it seems like they're also being forgotten as far as being focused on the TV goes. What do you think about that, Sherman?
I would agree, because I feel like a lot of their matches, obviously not last night, but were put on Rampage. I think Rampage's time slot is fucking terrible. I'm at the point where I don't even watch it because I know it's taped, for one. But my time's Central, your time's Eastern. So 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. on a Friday night, people in our age range and their target focus demographic, that's a deal breaker. Like, you're out doing shit or you're sleeping. So it's just like, I don't know. It's a bad time spot, for one. But back to the topic at hand here, it's just like, FTR, they're getting notoriety because they're all over the place. They're wrestling everybody. They're having big matches with the Bucks last week. They have big matches with the Briscoes. Like, if you put them guys against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus right now, I'm putting the money on FTR. I mean, and then it's like you got some other tag teams down there. But the weird thing is, you look at the rankings, and it's like none of these big-time tag teams are even in the rankings. You got Dante Martin, his brother Darius, who I don't even see on TV that much. They probably wrestle on Dark Elevation, which I don't watch. You got Dark Orders, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds, which, I'm sorry, they are what they are. Same with the Gun Club, and obviously the Acclaimed. Obviously they're good for drawing heat, and they're entertaining when they walk to the ring. But, as far as, like, in-ring performance-wise, and Bowens is hurt, it's like they don't get big wins. They always lose. So it's just like, I think it's time, if we do this at, the next pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, FTR just needs to take the titles from Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, because I don't know what it is. I like those guys, but something's missing there. And it wasn't Christian Cage last night either. He wasn't there. But it's just like, something just doesn't feel like these guys are making this tag team division where it should be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't pinpoint what it is because, like I said, when they're in the ring and they're having matches, the crowd is into them. So it's not like they're not over with the crowd. It's not like they're trying to push them and they're not over. They're over. But there's just something missing as far as them getting that star power. And I don't think, maybe it's Marco Stunt. Maybe that's what it is. You got to bring Marco Stunt back, re-sign him to his contract. And after he missed out on facing Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, bring Marco Stunt back and have him get back to the through. Maybe that's what's missing. But, I mean, we've just said the tag team division is flourishing in AEW. It's probably their best division, but the champs in that division are kind of not the low men on the totem pole, but not getting the focus they should be getting as tag team champions. Let's see what else. Like we talked about, one thing I've actually, and again, I gotta give some guys credit that we normally diss on this show. The MJF, Shawn Spears, Wardlow interactions I thought have been really good. It's doing a great job of getting Wardlow over. It's he's not fighting, he's costing MJF and Shawn Spears their matches. I think it's being done really well, so I got to give them credit for that. We still, like I said, we still got about a month and a half till Double or Nothing, which you got to assume is where that Wardlow MJF match is taking place. So I wonder how much more they go to, how much more they have to carry it out. And I'm starting to kind of warm up to the Jericho Appreciation Society, too. Two things that had been going on. Like, when it first happened, I was like, I don't know. But, like, their entrance last night was, like, the old ripoff of the old WWF, like, generic intro, like, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment. I think, it was, the time length was how long they were together for. So that was great. I laughed when Eddie Kingston showed up at the airport when they arrived on the plane. Yesterday, I'm like, how many FAA violations did Eddie Kingston have right there by showing up on the tarmac of an airport in his car like that? I don't think that's something you can do. So that was fun. I think those two things are some of the positives going on right now in AEW. What are your thoughts on those two angles that are going on there, Chairman?
Yeah, I was big on the Jericho Appreciation Society right when it formed. It's like I said a couple weeks ago. I think those young, guys, Daniel Garcia and I can't remember the hell they changed their names to now. Freaking 2.0. I don't know, Magic Fingers or whatever the hell his name is. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think like I said, Jericho appearing with those guys will help them in the long run. It was a great feud for Eddie Kingston. Great for Santana Ortiz. To kind of tie up loose ends. I just hope this thing doesn't go on for too long. I think that there's other stories to tell for everybody. Obviously, we talked in time and time again for Santana and Ortiz to go into the tag division and do some stuff there. And Eddie, well, he can have a great feud with a lot of guys. He can talk trash with anybody. It's just I feel like sometimes the Jericho feuds usually go on for way too long, like the MJF one, for example. So it's like I just don't know how much longer they can do this for. Double or Nothing is probably the end. I mean, you can't really do anything after that. Then let those guys do other things. Maybe it's time for Jericho to try to become the first two-time AEW World Champion. Fight Hangman Page if he retains, or CM Punk. I mean, there's history there. This is months down the road storytelling, of course. But I mean, I don't know. there's lots of ways to go with it, but I mean, I think it's fun for now. The MJF Wardlow stuff's great. I see Wardlow gets to wrestle next week against Butcher, so that's fine. It's a hired gun for MJF, and obviously you can only do the security crap for so long until obviously that runs its course. But yeah, I mean, Wardlow's getting over majorly as a babyface now. People are loving him. I mean, this is kind of how you build a babyface up, especially in this kind of situation, breaking away from MJF. So I'm sure he's going to probably fight for his freedom or something at Double or Nothing. I'm sure there'll be another stipulation, like Wardlow's, like, I don't know, slave for life or something. I don't know. It'll be some weird stipulation, I'm sure. Sergeant Spears sucks. Stop wearing a fucking tuxedo suit without an undershirt because you look like a fucking idiot. And get a different haircut, too, because you can't pull off the mohawk, bro.
Yeah, I agree with that. What else do we have? So we had last night's main event, Samoa Joe, Minoru Suzuki. It's a smart job by Tony Khan by not tempting death twice, by not playing Minoru Suzuki's full entrance. I remember the last time that happened, I was like, why? We've got Moxley and Suzuki. You didn't play us for lunch, and then they cut to a commercial break or something. And I was like, oh, it's good thing you didn't. They got an overrun just for that. No, they got an overrun for having the arrival of a former NBA player, who's been training as a wrestler, who Satnam Singh, and boy, that got over like a fart in church. It was just not good. I thought like the match was over, and then I had walked into the kitchen, and I heard they say, "Oh, the lights went out," and I'm like expecting somebody big. It's like the lights go out, it should be somebody big, not somebody that 98% of your audience has no idea who it is. It's kind of not good for your whole lights out gimmick, where you expect something big to happen when they go out and somebody shows back up. But that it's the whole the WWE got. I mean, granted, he's not the world champion yet, but the WWE got crap for trying to push Jinder Mahal for the India market, and this apparently was a play of AEW because it just signed some kind of TV deal in the India market. It's like that guy made the Yeti look like he was agile. He could barely move in the ring, and I'm sitting there watching him, and he's moving at a snail's pace. He's grabbing Joe and basically holding him like he's a small child, and I'm like, after that great Suzuki Joe match, you're following it up with whatever the hell this is. This is not like good at all. Like, it's not like you hype up that you got an overrun. You finally got an overrun time for your show, and you end up doing that, and it's like, oh, come on, guys. Like, after what was a pretty good episode of Dynamite, ending it like that was just not the smartest way to go. And it seems like Samoa Joe is going to be a part of this. He won the Ring of Honor TV title last night. He's going to be feuding with Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt. God bless Samoa Joe if he can get a watchable match out of this guy, right, Chairman?
Is this like their counter to Veer Mahan since Raw finally debuted him? So like this is AEW's like counter? Is that what this is?
It must be, but they didn't spend 7 months hyping him up first.
No, they blacked out the screen, making us think we're getting something spectacular, and it's the biggest letdown since they did it for Butcher and Blade. Sorry, but okay. I remember they blacked the screen out back in early AEW, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? And like, that's what I felt last night too, and I saw this guy show up. I'm like, I would expect something freaking big here. We just saw Minoru Suzuki wrestle. We just seen Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt come out, and I'm loving that Jay Lethal's getting some airtime finally, and a good story of Joe. I'm all for Jay Lethal getting this opportunity here, but it's like, you turn the lights out at the end of a show after a major title match, you better be bringing something big here. You don't black out the screen for fucking Veer Mahan's twin brother. It's like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. He's a basketball player? I don't know that. 98% of the people don't know that. Probably 99% of the people don't know that. It's like, it's horrible. I'm not. This is an AEW flop. This is a ball dropped here, Tony Khan. Like, dude, stop blacking out the lights for every debut. Like, you can have guys come out from the crowd too, or just randomly run in, or well, this guy's gonna like limp in, I guess, like Great Khali used to. But like, this sucks. I don't want to see Samoa Joe, who probably doesn't have a whole lot of matches left in the tank, wrestle some freaking scrub ball like this. Like, just do Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal, and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, have him. What they should have done is had Lethal in the ring with them and had Sanjay Dutt walk out with a guy like Harvey Whippleman with Giant Gonzalez at Royal Rumble '93. Just do it like that. Like you said, don't turn the lights out. I mean, after they just had the whole Joe Suzuki match, I was almost half expecting like, oh, is Zack Sabre Jr. gonna show up? Suzuki Gun, is Taichi gonna show up? But if Taichi showed up, you would have known because he would have been singing his way down the entrance ramp. So that would be a dead giveaway. Zack Sabre Jr. could have just showed up and obviously surprised them like that. But yeah, oh god, it was just not good. Tony Khan's got another big announcement apparently this coming Wednesday. Apparently he just has a big announcement every single month. There's rumors that this might be the TV streaming deal that everybody thought was going to be the last time, or some kind of streaming service. Though of course there's a Warner Brothers Discovery, or Warner's being sold to Discovery, and so that's also a thing where people are maybe worried about a potential TV deal down the line. Who knows? I don't know how the world of corporate mergers works, so I can't really get into that at all and give you a fair shake. What did you think, Chairman, about Tony Khan's tweet not a couple days ago, I think it was like late last week, about paid bots that are out there spamming about AEW, the negativity towards it? What did you think when you read that? Just Tony pounding the hard seltzers too early again?
It's possible, but I think the big announcement is he is going to announce the Jaguars draft pick live on Dynamite to get the football NFL people buzzing. Actually, it might be the video game. I heard there were making some headway on that. That could be the announcement too, or the things you said too, or I don't know. Maybe he uncovered the bots. Maybe he summoned the AEW Avengers team and they conquered Ultron and disabled all the bots.
Yeah. Now I've read that the other day. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I'm like, no shit, he's actually legit about this. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Tony Khan announcing the Jaguars pick a whole week before the actual NFL draft, getting one up on the NFL. I wonder how mad that Roger would be about that. Just sitting there steaming at Dynamite. You can get Doug Peterson come out now to introduce it too. Yeah, so that's pretty much, it's a lot of AEW. We didn't talk about the women's division, but sorry, folks, that's about how much attention the AEW itself is paying to the women's division. I mean, we got Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose at Battle of the Belts. Again, something that's been, these title matches don't get, I feel like the non-title matches get built up better than the actual title matches. We also got Sammy Guevara against Scorpio Sky for the TV title at the Battle of the Belts show. I don't know. I don't think there's another match. I will say the Starks, Hobbs versus Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland match last night. Again, a really good match. Just give me Keith Lee versus Hobbs in an actual one-on-one match, and I think that's going to be very good. So that's our catch up there on AEW. As far as WWE goes, not a lot of stuff to kind of catch up on here. The Usos might be, merging the Raw tag titles too. They might be getting a shot against Team RK Bro. So we got that going on there. Roman Reigns still really doesn't have an opponent yet. The only two matches set for WrestleMania Backlash are Charlotte versus Ronda in an I Quit match, and the rematch of Cody versus Seth, which in rematch land, I'm fine with those two matches kind of being rematches. Ronda was quote unquote screwed out of her title at WrestleMania, and Seth has a legitimate gripe of, hey, I wasn't expecting you at WrestleMania, so now I want to fight you and prepare for you. So I got no problems with either of those matches taking place again. Looks like we're getting Bianca Belair versus Sonya Deville, after Sonya attacked Bianca Belair last Monday on Raw, not last week. So that is pretty much everything WWE related. I think Nash Carter getting released from NXT happened after we recorded, but again, not much to say about that. I will say, though, for NXT, that I am really enjoying the Creed brothers' work. I look forward to them. They didn't win the tag titles and that gauntlet match on Tuesday, but I caught that. I caught the main event of NXT, and I watched the whole gauntlet match, and I thought it was very strong performance from the Creed brothers. I look forward to them getting to the main roster and getting split up as a tag team in 6 months' time. The only other thing maybe I want to ask you this, Chairman, I saw Mandy Rose beat Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's Championship. We've talked about it before. We like Toxic Attraction as a group, but I don't know. I'm starting to get really rubbed the wrong way from Mandy Rose running through everybody in the AEW Women's Division. I know you don't watch NXT too much, Chairman, but as far as that goes, are you kind of getting that same vibe?
Well, I don't know how she's running through the AEW division. She's never been there yet, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say AEW? My apologies.
Crossover. I mean, Dakota Kai's been there forever, and I don't know. I thought, did she get drafted to Raw or something, SmackDown, back in October?
I don't remember.
I can't keep track anyways. But, I'm trying to think here. You got some worthy competitors down there that could, be a champion. Obviously Io Shirai, definitely a worthy person and a former champion. Kaylee Ray was a fantastic in NXT UK, and the promising young upstart Cora Jade, who now has to do time with Natalya apparently. So I guess she's going to be pulled out of the title scene. But it's fine for Mandy, because I feel like if they're going to build her stock up like they are right now with Toxic Attraction, and they do make the jump to Raw or SmackDown in time, Mandy will probably be up there with the Four Horsewomen. Not up there, but close to up there, the B level tier. Kind of I feel like she could be a credible threat if they keep building her up. She's going to have the backup of Toxic Attraction, as long as they don't change their names or split them up and name them after Nazi generals or something. But, there's definitely potential here. I got no problem with Mandy running red shell through everybody. I just hope it leads to something. Unlike Shayna Baszler, who was awesome in NXT, and then she looks like, I mean, she's an afterthought basically now, the Raw or SmackDown rosters. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on kind of in WWE, Cody and Seth in finals again, like you said, because, now they get some promo work against each other. I'm all for it. But then the names are getting changed too. Like, Theory is now just Theory. No more Austin Theory. It's just Theory now. And freaking Imperium guy got his name all jacked up now. And I don't know. Tommaso Ciampa survived, though. So thankfully his name got changed yet. But, I mean...
Raquel Gonzalez got changed to Raquel Rodriguez, which I don't get because I'm pretty sure Raquel Gonzalez is the name they made.
Yeah, I'm so pissed about that too, because like she has an elite figure coming out like that's right now, and I don't want to buy it now because her name got changed, and that's just gonna bother the hell out of me. So you just lost sales, WWE. Stop changing people's freaking names, man. It ain't cool. Stop it.
Yeah, I don't get it, especially when they don't, like when they're the ones that came up. And with Imperium, I don't get why they didn't bring Fabian Archer up. I feel like that guy would be like a Vince McMahon wet dream. I mean, he's like average height, but he's jacked and he can do athletic stuff. I can't believe they didn't bring him up with Imperium. They're making Gunther and Ludwig the tag team portion of it now. This kind of just makes no sense. But of course, that's like 95% of the WWE booking, like the whole Elias Ezekiel crap. Like really? Like, this is the angle? Come on, the 24/7 wedding stuff. I'm actually going to Raw Monday, and I might have to sit through that. Like I said, at least I know when I'll be able to go get my beer, hopefully, if that actually happens live and it's not pre-taped. All right, so that's really it as far as current event stuff. Let's get into, like I said, what is going to take up the second part of our show here, and that is 10 years of Brock Lesnar. It was back in 2012 that Brock Lesnar re-debuted the night after WrestleMania, attacking John Cena. I remember at the time that the news had gotten out at the time, so everybody was hyped up for it. I remember I was hyped up for it. I was looking forward to it. And him coming out there and confronting John Cena was great. And then I remember like the news coming out a little bit afterwards, like, well, don't expect him to be there every single week. And sure enough, he's pretty much the first guy who was re-signed and like became a part-timer. Like, he would just show up from time to time. He would show up for the big pay-per-views. To his credit, over the last year or so, he's been showing up a little bit more. And it's part of it. I get it, to kind of keep him as a special, unique star attraction. Like, all right, he's showing up for SummerSlam. His match is going to be a big deal, and that's when you do it. He's showing up for the Rumble. He's showing up for WrestleMania. It's a big deal. I get it. The problem is, long term, at least that for me, they didn't really do a lot of star making with Brock Lesnar that they could have done. But I mean, I think from an overall perspective, him being back, I want to say it's been more positive than negative. Maybe it's this most recent year of Brock Lesnar that's clouding my judgment a little bit. But even looking back and just looking back at some of the stuff we were going to talk about for this show, the matches, I would say about 80% of them were, good to great. So he definitely has that big match aura that kind of translates over to the match itself. But I would say overall, I think him coming back helped the WWE more than it hurt. What are your thoughts when you saw Brock Lesnar coming back and everything that's happened since, Chairman?
So, funny story is my first Raw I watched for my hiatus, like how many years ago, was the night after WrestleMania in 2012, because a bunch of friends over Facebook were talking about WrestleMania the night before. I'm like, oh, you know what, I'll watch Raw, I got nothing better to do. And of course, Lesnar shows up, and it's like, whoa, this is kind of a big deal. Goes right after Cena, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I thought he was in UFC, I thought there's no way he'd ever go back, especially with the way how he left, years ago. But then, he's been in the ring with a lot of people over the years, 10 years, Cena, Triple H, Undertaker, Reigns, Rollins, and then of course some other guys like Kofi and Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, et cetera, et cetera. He's pretty much made the rounds through the roster, and sure, there's been some frustration when he would win the title, take it hostage, and disappear for months on end. But at the same time, it was like a big match feel, because this guy would destroy most of his opponents within like 5 to 10 minutes. So it's like, especially some of them smaller guys, he'd really destroy them. So it's like, he was just dominant. I mean, he entered the Undertaker streak of all things, too, which I thought was never going to get broke. So, I mean, Lesnar's an animal, man. I mean, I think, looking back, yeah, it's probably a good thing that they brought him in, for the star power alone and the big match feel, because, like, you take him out of the equation the last 10 years, I don't know who the hell they're pushing, honestly. It's kind of like, I don't know, because, like, once AEW kind of started, the star power kind of started to dwindle, but Brock was kind of the guy that was always around, when needed, and now he's a face now away from Heyman, so, he's kind of changed his, like, character a little bit. And it's a good thing, too, obviously. Sometimes characters need to evolve, and I think, right now his face run, a lot of people are digging it. I'm guessing he's probably going to be gone for a while since he already finished his story of Roman Reigns, but, I mean, I think there's some more stories to tell with Lesnar. It's just a matter of which ones are left to tell.
I completely forgot about that Kofi match. Even looking back on this stuff, I misglanced it off. That Kofi. Now, if there is a negative on this Brock Lesnar, that's one of the. And I mean, that's no fault of Brock Lesnar. It's not like I don't think Brock Lesnar doesn't necessarily seem like the guy who did the man stuff, and like we've shown that even when he faces guys like Kofi's size and stature, that he can go out there and actually have a good match. And that's what a lot of his matches, seem to be. His better ones seem to be with guys like that. And we'll talk about that in a couple seconds here. But the stuff, the Cain Velasquez thing, and then Cain Velasquez was only there for like 2 months, and then he got released or whatever, left. It was just, God, that might have been the worst of his return. But I don't think it was. So. We're talking about that. Talk about some of his worst. Let's get into it. Like worst feuds, worst match, best feuds, best matches. Let's start with worst feud. For me, it's just got to be that second Triple H one. It's like he goes out there, he fights John Cena. He loses to Cena. And then there were reports afterward that he was pissed and throwing stuff around because Cena gave that speech afterward. I don't remember what it was about. Maybe it was about taking time off, and then Lesnar was pissed about it, and he goes into this whole long, he fights Triple H the following SummerSlam and wins, and then he fights Triple H again at WrestleMania and loses because Triple H, I believe, put his COO ship on the line, and then I think he fought Triple H the next night in a cage match, or not the next night, the next pay-per-view, in a cage match, and ended up winning there, thankfully, so I guess he technically won the feud. But that whole feud was like, we need to get we never did Lesnar versus Triple H before, we got to get this match out of the way and do it now. And it's like, that feud there kind of made me nervous, like, what are we going to get out of this Lesnar stuff? And then it finally got better, obviously, but that whole feud and that series of matches, and I was there for the WrestleMania 29 match, and I can tell you it was not good. Nobody cared about it at all. It was just that was the WrestleMania they messed up on. What they should have done is they should have done Cena versus Punk for the title. They should have done Rock versus Brock, and they should have had Undertaker and Triple H fight two other people on the roster. Maybe you have the Undertaker and Triple H. I don't know if you'd have them team up to fight the Shield because the Shield was hot at the time and you want them to go over. But there's other guys you could have had them face on the roster that would have been better than doing Triple H versus Brock again. So I think as far as his worst feud since his comeback, I think for me, Lesnar versus Triple H tops the list. What about you, Chairman?
Oh, there's always a worse one, and that's freaking Bill Oldberg. The worst
of course.
thing ever. The worst thing in wrestling ever. Like, it was horrible. Like, the matches were shit. There was shit back in the day when they both freaking got booed out of the building and Stone Cold stunned them all. Like, it was just, why would you revisit this? Like, I get why they did it, but it's like, I don't want to see this crap. The matches were short. They were shit. It was like finisher, boom, boom, done. They pretty much ruined Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens because freaking they had to have the title involved in their shitty 6-minute match. It even main event WrestleMania, which they lost to freaking Undertaker, Roman Reigns, at No Holds Barred match. It wasn't for the title, so that just goes to show you how much shit that match was. So, worst feud, Oldberg, landslide.
I should have known you were going to go there. I had no problem with the first match taking place, a redo of the WrestleMania debacle. Like, I think it was Survivors. I know it was Survivor Series because I was at like the last Raw, I think, before Survivor Series, and they had like a quote-unquote stare down with security all in the ring, and I think Goldberg jackhammered one of the security guards. Yeah, it definitely was. That's right, yep, because I had a friend that ended up going to Survivor Series, and he was pissed because it was like the match was like a minute long, and he was like, I went up there to see Goldberg Lesnar, and the friggin' match was a minute long. Are you kidding me? Yeah, so that was around Survivor Series. I mean, I had no problem with the one time, and even if they did the rematch at Mania without the title, it would have been fine. But like you said, they had to go and put the title Had to put the title on Goldberg, get it off of Kevin Owens for God knows what reason, because some reason the big matches always need the title involved and just can't just be just one-on-one, no title needed. All right, let's go to the funny thing is, worst match. This wasn't even on my list, but since you reminded me about it, Sherman, I'm gonna go with the Kofi Brock Lesnar match. It was just awful. That whole thing. Kofi's finally champion. He has a good long reign and then just gets squashed by Brock Lesnar in seconds on the first SmackDown on Fox, and it was like. I think now that I'm remembering it, what pisses me off more is the next week and Kofi's just all happy and go lucky and it's not mad at all that he lost to Brock Lesnar. He just lost the WWE Championship he had for 6 months. It's like, I mean, we hadn't seen it yet, but Brock is capable of having good matches with these guys. There's no reason why Kofi couldn't have gotten some athletic spots in, escaping from Brock here and there. But man, yeah, that whole match itself was like, I guess what whole match? It was 8 seconds. It's like, we could have done so much better, and instead we had to do this because we thought Cain Velasquez. We had to throw money at Cain Velasquez because AEW was going to sign him. Then you threw money at Cain Velasquez and you released him like 3 months later after his crown jewel match with Brock. And I think lasted only like 3 minutes. So, that whole debacle, I guess it could be worst feud, even though it really wasn't a feud. But yeah, that's my worst Brock Lesnar match as far as what he's done so far goes. I mean, other ones are up there. I was originally going to go with the Brock Lesnar Dean Ambrose match from WrestleMania 32 because everybody was expecting crazy shit out of that match, and then Brock didn't want to do any of it. So it was just kind of like a regular hardcore match. That was originally going to be my original pick, but I'm switching now to Brock Kofi because of everything that it reminded me of. What about you, Chairman? What's your worst Brock Lesnar match?
Does it even count as a match if it's only like 6 to 8 seconds? But I remember what freaking people are pissed about that. I mean, holy shit. And
yeah.
That was terrible. It was probably Fox. Like, oh yeah, 60-second match. Yeah. Squash Kofi. It's like, fuck off. But yeah, I get what you're saying though. Like Kofi's out there smiling, and in WWE, everybody gets a freaking rematch like 4 times. But no, not Kofi. You don't get no rematch. You don't get a world title shit ever again. You just be happy go tag team guy. It's like, dude, what the hell? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm sticking with my Oldberg from Mania 33 because it pretty much screwed us out of a Jericho KO main event who should have main evented that year. And granted, I know Undertaker and Roman Reigns did, but if they would have had the title, they should have main evented, and Oldberg is trash.
Yeah, I think some other qualified candidates, the Reigns Lesnar match from WrestleMania 34. I mean, outside of Reigns getting busted open, that match is like just dead. It was a bad ending. I remember Brock retaining, and we were all like, I remember doing the show the week after, and we were all just like, I can't believe Brock retained. And I think it's like, what the hell? Like, come on. I mean, like I said, there's that match. The WrestleMania 30 match, obviously, with The Undertaker really wasn't that great because, obviously, Taker suffers a bad concussion during the match. So that went, I can't really blame anybody for that match being bad. I mean, I don't think it would have been great had Taker not got knocked out, during the match. So, but I think, it gets a little bit of a pass as far as why it was bad. I'm not really going to hold anybody against anybody as far as that goes.
I'm going to throw another one out there, too. Orton at SummerSlam that year. That was so hyped for that match because they came up the same year, and I was left disappointed. I was like, that was the best we got. That was another disappointment for me. Yeah,
I remember that one now as well. I was with you because it was like you were talking about, okay, we're going to do Lesnar Cena now that Cena's a big star, and it was pretty, Cena Orton. Obviously, they go hand in hand. And yeah, I remember that. I remember being the same way. I think they did like a special, weird segment for that match, to hype it up, as breaking news. And yeah, because it was another one of those, TKO endings where Brock, I think, busted Orton open the hard way. And then that was it. And I was like, ugh, really? Yeah, so we got that match there. I mean, that's right. I saw a Brock Lesnar Big Show match at the Rumble I went to in 2014. It was inoffensive, but it wasn't anything too bad. I mean, it happened, whatever, and we move on. Everybody remembers that match, that Rumble for the ending and the Orton Cena match that everybody shit on, and no Daniel Bryan in the Rumble. All right, let's get to best feud. I'll let you start here with the best ones, Sharon. What do you think was Brock Lesnar's best feud since coming back?
I would probably say The Undertaker. just because a lot of their matches had some base stipulations on the line. You had Hell in a Cell matches, you had the streak getting ended, and obviously they had some matches in Brock's first run. So I think there's just a lot of history and a lot of respect between the two. So I'm going to go with that, Undertaker.
Yeah, like I said, the WrestleMania 30 match obviously had its flaws. They had the Hell in a Cell match in, what year was that, the Hell in a Cell match? Was it 2015? Undertaker and, Lesnar, Hell in a Cell. And they had that rematch at SummerSlam, it was SummerSlam first, where Undertaker beat Brock, and then Brock beat him in the Hell in a Cell match. Didn't they try to turn Undertaker heel in that match for some reason? I feel like I'm remembering this as a thing.
Shit.
There was a low blow or something.
There might have been some shitty tactics involved.
Yeah. The only thing I think people remember for it is that the GIF or GIF, however you say it, of like when they both sit up and they kind of laugh at each other. That's one of them. I think that was the SummerSlam match where they both do that. But yeah, I think it would probably, nothing really resulted from the Cena match, but I think as far as feuds go, I mean, like, obviously the two guys that he's had the most history with since his comeback have been Reigns and Taker. So I think if we're putting it down to one single match, I would say actually the build to this past year's WrestleMania was the best build. But I think if you're grouping it so that's just a match, but if you're grouping all the matches together as a whole, I would agree with you, Chairman, that I think it's the Undertaker feud. Like you said, they had history in the first run. They had a great Hell in a Cell match, the very first run they had. So there's history there. They know each other. The Undertaker was kind of the one that got the rumors of Brock coming back started when he kind of confronted him after that one UFC show when he was being interviewed, even though I don't think he came back for like another year or so after that happened. So I think just overall feud, like a rivalry, I think it would definitely be Taker. But if I had to say an individual match, I would probably say this last one with Lesnar and Reigns going into WrestleMania. As much crap as we give the WWE for their booking lately, I do have to admit they did a pretty good job of hyping that up as a really big match. So credit to them there. All right. And how about best match, Chairman? What do you think Lesnar's best match has been since he's come back? I think there's obviously a lot to choose from on this list.
Yeah, I was a big one of the Royal Rumble 2015 with John Cena and Seth Rollins. I mean, that was just one awesome triple threat match. Seth Rollins is still kind of coming on, and obviously Cena's got star power. Lesnar had star power. I mean, those guys just beat the shit out of each other over the ring. And Royal Rumble is not known for having good, world title matches. It's usually kind of a throwaway match where all the focus is on the Rumble. But this freaking world title match was freaking amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely probably top three. I enjoyed both of his back-to-back Survivor Series in 2007. 2017, he fought AJ Styles when they were doing like the brands thing, and in 2018, he fought Daniel Bryan. Both of those matches were great, especially the Bryan match. He was fully playing into the crowd as his heel character. That was great. The fatal four-way match that took place at SummerSlam 2017, where it was Braun, Roman, Samoa Joe, and Brock. That match was awesome. Man, like I said, I think I'm just looking at I'm looking at now his whole page of fights, and I think the funny thing is we could actually probably list all the major ones here. So I'll go through this real quick, and if you ever want to interject and say something about a match, Chairman, go ahead. So Extreme Rules 2012, the Cena match, and we talked about SummerSlam, Mania 29, and Extreme Rules, Triple H stuff. I mean, I forgot about this one, SummerSlam 13 against CM Punk, no disqualification match. That match was awesome.
That was a freaking great one because the Heyman stuff. So I just got real crazy there too. I mean, that was probably one of my favorite matches with Lesnar. Think about it.
Yeah, that show, that was the Lesnar, Punk, and Daniel Bryan, John Cena show. I mentioned Royal Rumble 14 against Big Show, the streak match where he beats Lesnar, SummerSlam 2014 where he beats Cena for the title. They had a rematch at Night of Champions where Cena won via disqualification. The Rumble 15 match we talked about. WrestleMania 31, when Rollins cashes in.
Greatest cash in ever.
Yep, nothing has been topped. It's that and the Ziggler one. Nothing really. And I guess you got the first Edge one too, because it was just we didn't know what was going to happen, how it was going to happen. Battleground against Seth Rollins. He wins via disqualification. We talked about the Undertaker matches. There's a Big Show match squeezed in between them at MSG. 2016 Royal Rumble match. I don't remember this one. 2016 Fastlane, Roman, Lesnar, and Ambrose. Triple threat match. I'm assuming for a title. It doesn't say for a title, but I'm assuming it was just a triple threat match. I don't remember that. And then at Roadblock 2016, he fought Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper and beat both of them. Don't remember that one either. I do remember these two. Okay, so we talked about WrestleMania 32, Lesnar and Ambrose. We talked about Lesnar Orton. 17 Rumble match he was in. We talked about the Goldberg match. Great Balls of Fire. Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe. That match, oh god, Joe, oh god. Remember when they treated Joe as a legitimate threat and we actually thought they were going to use him well? Like this 2-month span here, which because the SummerSlam 2017 match is next. I remember
they let Joe stand outside for WrestleMania. Then they released him not once but twice afterwards. He's so great for you.
Poor Joe. No Mercy 2017. He beat Braun Strowman. I talked about the AJ Styles match. Rumble 18, Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and Kane triple threat match.
Speaking of Braun Strowman real quick, or Adam Shearer, and he's got the biggest Twitter beef with Buff Bagwell right now. If anyone's checking that out, funny shit.
I know, right? Yeah, I've seen some of that. It's like, okay, dude, why don't you control your narrative and calm down a little bit? The only thing I remember that triple threat match with Braun and Kane was when Braun was working a little stiff and Lesnar told him to take it easy and then pretty much potatoed him with an actual UFC punch to the face. We talked about WrestleMania 34 against Roman Reigns. Greatest Royal Rumble. They fought again in a cage with Brock winning. Roman beat Brock for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam 2018, which I remember correctly was the show where Strowman was outside of the ring the whole time with the Money in the Bank briefcase, so everybody was pumped for him to cash in, and he didn't do it. Like the last wasted opportunity of Braun Strowman. Crown Jewel 2018, he beat Braun Strowman. Survivor Series 2018, that was a Daniel Bryan match. Rumble 2019, Finn Balor. I remember that being a semi-good match. I remember being shocked at the time that it was actually Finn Balor winning that, or getting that match. WrestleMania 35, the opener against Rollins for the Universal title. His Money in the Bank match where he just showed up and got the Money in the Bank afterwards. Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Seth beating him for the Universal title in 2019. I don't remember. That match got 4.25 stars from Dave Meltzer, but I do not remember that off the top of my head. Weird. Oh god, this is. You know what's actually funny now that I'm going through this page, right? They don't even list the Kofi Kingston match on his Pro Fight DB page. This is where I'm getting this stuff because it goes right from the Seth Rollins match.
And I think you have to last like so many minutes, don't you? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it goes right from that Seth Rollins match to the Cain Velasquez match at Crown Jewel, and I know that because that's the Cain Velasquez match was WWE Championship match. Yeah, it's not listed in there. Huh.
Maybe King Woods hacked the page because he wanted to delete from history.
Deleted it? Yeah, that's probably what happened. Survivor Series 19 against Rey Mysterio. The Royal Rumble 2020 match he was in, with Drew eliminated him.
The Royal Rumble 2020 when he eliminated like half the fucking field before the Rumble really got going.
Yep, he started as one. Yep.
That was trash. That was so dumb. The only thing he did was get Drew McIntyre over for a minute, and like the Keith Lee stare down. That's kind of pretty much it.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is, they don't even list. There must be some. I don't know why, because they don't even list the Drew McIntyre match on here. It goes right from the Royal Rumble to Super Showdown against Ricochet, where he won. The Ricochet match was like as long as the Kofi match, too, but I guess Ricochet gets more pub. Yeah, because then it goes right from that to Crown Jewel with Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, and then the Fatal 5-Way at Day 1. Then the Royal Rumble match against Lashley, the 2022 Rumble match, the Elimination Chamber, and Roman Reigns. So, that's weird. Unless you know why? All right, you know what I think why? I think I know why. I think it's because I had it listed under star ratings, and I think because the Drew McIntyre WrestleMania match was taped, I don't think he gave them an actual rating.
Dave didn't want to give them stars.
Yeah.
He doesn't give stars ratings to Seth Rollins matches anymore because Seth Rollins pretty much called him out on his bullshit.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious. God, poor stupid wrestling personalities taking themselves too seriously. Okay, yeah. So that was just me running through that. So we talked about it real quick here before the end. Is there anybody left that you want to see him fight in the WWE that, just assuming, I'm assuming he would never go to AEW. Let's just assume WWE, that either you want to see one more time happen or the match you haven't seen yet that you want to see him do?
So I thought about this at first, and I'm like, stumped. I'm like, I feel like he's wrestled everybody. Then I really stopped and think about it. I'm like, okay, Edge. Edge just went heel. Edge has a faction of Damian Priest, possibly growing more people. He's a heel. He's a top heel. Brock's a top babyface right now. Like, if this happened at SummerSlam, I think that would be huge. I mean, it's just, I mean, I think when the original run, Edge was kind of injured for most of that run, and I think they wrestled maybe twice. I think it was once at Rebellion, 02, and then I think it was like a tag match, like Edge and Rey Mysterio against Brock and Tajiri or something, but I think that'd be really good. I think Kevin Owens would be another one. Like Kevin Owens, just had a huge rub with Steve Austin at WrestleMania. I think, if there's a way to get those two connected, I think KO show, start off with that, have Lesnar on. You can, make some rounds with that. And I think, Riddle, because Riddle, is like, you don't know the backstory. You don't know the backstory. I don't need to bore you off all those details. But I think, those two with their backgrounds could be really fun.
Yeah, I know. Obviously he fought him already, but I would like to see a proper Drew McIntyre match. I mean, I feel like that pandemic WrestleMania was just kind of thrown together, so I would like to see an actual proper feud between those two and an actual match. So that's one I'd like to see again. The Edge one's a great point, though. I mean, I don't know. Damian Priest has magical powers now. If you saw it on Raw, where he can just end the match by have the lights going out and whatever, him having an evil look on his face now. Apparently that's a thing. But yeah, the Edge one's a good one. Like I said, I think a Drew McIntyre in an actual proper match would be a good one. I'll throw this out there. I would love to, I don't want to say love, but I think maybe not this year or next year. I think him and Braun Breaker would have a pretty good. I think they're going to strap the rocket to Braun Breaker, so I think he's going to get a big push when he gets up to the main roster, whenever that is, and I think that match will be a big deal when it happens. And of course, a dream match would be either him and Walter or Gunther, whatever you want to call it. But there's no way they're going to treat him as a serious threat on the main roster enough to actually go out there and have a proper one-on-one match with Brock Lesnar. So that would be. Those are a list of the ones that I have there. All right, so that is our show for this week. We are more than likely going to be taking the week off next week, barring some kind of major breaking news taking place, just with the Easter holiday coming up this weekend, and just my schedule and everybody else's schedule kind of being busy. Plus,
last time we took a break, Justin, there was a bunch of releases, so if we have releases next week, we're to blame.
Yeah, it's going to be our fault. So I will apologize to anybody in advance that gets released from the WWE. I don't have any way of compensating you if it does happen. I just bought a house, so it's not like I have anything. You can take my house if you want, but then you're leaving me homeless. Yeah, so who knows? Maybe would Adam Cole winning on Rampage qualify as big? I don't know. We'll see. But if something happens, we'll be here. If not, we will see you guys in a couple weeks, catch up on everything. If you saw today on Twitter that the Three Beers Deep podcast has been rebranded as the Month of Wrestling Podcast, kind of a little bit of a different format Heather and I are going to take going forward with that. We're going to spend a month on either a specific wrestler or a specific show or a specific, angles, that kind of stuff, rather than just watching full shows. Sometimes we'll still watch full shows. Sometimes we'll just watch parts of shows, but that's kind of going to be our new thing going on over there. So it's the Month of Wrestling Podcast now. So look forward to those. But for today, for my co-host, the chairman, Stephen Vincent, I am Justin C. signing off, and we'll talk to you guys in a few weeks.